Okay, I just wanted to talk a little bit about value types versus reference types. Value types are when you have two values which change independently of each other. They are not referencing each other. They're not referencing the same memory space, but are referencing independent variables in memory. So let's try creating a variable. So int my int value equals 10. Okay, we've created an integer value of value 10, and now we want to create a second variable. What would be the easiest way to do that? What we could do is we could pass the value of the first variable to the second variable. Let's do that. So my int value is being passed to the new variable integer, another int value. Now, what do you think, when we print these out, what do you think it's going to look like? What are the values going to be of my int value and another int value? Will they be different or will they be the same? Let's try it. So we've printed them out to the screen and they're both the same. They're both 10. Okay, now let's try an experiment. Let's try changing the value of one of the values to see if the other value changes. So we will do that. So we will add 1 to another int value. So we're adding 1 to another int value, and it will change another int value, and then we'll print that out. So we'll run that. Notice what's happened. Another int value has changed by 1, which is no surprise because we've added 1. But my int value has not changed. So what does that tell you? Are we looking at the same memory space, the same variable in the memory space, or different? Well, apparently we're looking at different memory spaces because the values are different. So this is not referencing the same memory space. But let's look at array types now. Array types are reference types. They are dependent on each other and they are referencing the same array in memory. So here we have the array myIntArray, which is an integer array. And we're creating a new object, new integer 5. And then we're passing myIntArray to another array, just like we did with the previous, but this time we're doing it with arrays. Now what's going to happen? What is that going to look like? So let's print those out, take a look. So we created a new array with 5 values, and they were the default value of 0. And then we passed that array to another array, and they're exactly the same. So the values are exactly the same. But let's do something similar to what we had done before. Let's change one of the values. And let's see if that changes the value of the second. So we're looking at the second, another array. And we're going to change the 0 index value to 1, and then we're going to print out both values and see, are they actually referencing the same memory space or not? So let's try that. So what we see is both of the 0 index values have changed. So what that shows is that both of these arrays, myIntArray and another array, are both referencing the same space in memory. They are independently, they have different names, but they're looking at the same memory space, the same array in the memory space. So let's try something different. Let's try passing an array to a method and see, will that actually, will that create a similarly referenced array or not? So here we're calling our modify array method, and we're passing in myIntArray. So we're passing in one of these arrays into modify array. Let's write the modify array method. So private static void modify array, and then we're passing in the integer array. Now within that method, we're going to change the value of the 0 index to 2. Now the question is, will that change the first two arrays, or will it only change this array? Which is going to happen? So let's print those out. So if you notice, both myIntArray and another array have changed. They both changed the 0 index. So all three of these arrays, myIntArray, another array, and array, are linked, or they're actually looking at the same memory space. So when we passed myIntArray into modify array, and then passed array into modify array, it actually caused us to reference the same memory space. But now we're going to do something different. We're actually going to reinitialize array, or another term is we're going to dereference array to see if that changes this linkage or referencing. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this initialization block, and so we're actually creating a new object called array, and we're going to see if these three are still actually referencing the same space or not. And then we're going to write a print statement so we can print that out. So here we go, we're running it. So notice what's happened. myIntArray still has not changed. It still has the index 0 of 2. Another array has not changed. It still has the 0 index of 2. But array, the array called array, has changed. It has actually input these values. So now we have the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're looking at a separate memory space. So what it's done is it has dereferenced this array value, and it's no longer looking at the same memory space as myIntArray and another array. It's actually looking at a separate memory space. So we call that, it's called a dereference, or it's a reinitialization of the array. So excellent. Thank you for listening. It's a little confusing. You might want to watch this 2 or 3 times to be able to follow it, but it's very interesting, and it's a very powerful. Being able to understand the reference of arrays is really critical in this subject. Thank you very much.